find very easy to imitate the others in many events of life. We can exactly repeat what the others say, either in drama or in poems, or for that matter, in everything. This is because it is not our own opinion, and we will not be questioned or no one will charge against us. But when it comes to our own personal conviction, it is very difficult. We have to ponder and make sure that what we say or do will not be of any contradiction or cause any displeasure to others. When Jesus asked his disciples what the others said about him, they replied that the others called him by the different names, either John the Baptist or Elijah or the other prophets. But when it came to the disciples themselves, Peter, in his own conviction, professed that he is the Christ. I am very sure that many of you will agree with me that whenever we read this gospel of today, we feel that it is addressed to us in our everyday context. With all the pressures from all around on faith today, it is vital for all of us to time and again look into the core of our personal faith. Peter was very comfortable and very excited when Jesus consented to his answer. A little step after that, Jesus declared that he is not only the Christ of glory, comfort, joy and happiness. Rather, he is the Christ who was destined to suffer grievously, rejected by the others and be put to death. Christ unveils the authentic content of his messianic kingship, both in the transcendent identity of the Son of Man who came down from heaven and in his redemptive mission of the suffering servant. Hence, the true meaning of the Christ is revealed only when he is raised on the cross. Peter also later on proclaimed, "Let all the houses of Israel therefore know assuredly that God has made him both Lord and Christ, this Jesus whom you crucified." We find that in the Acts of the Apostles chapter 2 verse 36. In the first reading of today, Isaiah expressed in a clear term that as the one sent by God, he did not make any resistance to those who mocked him. He had the strength to bear up the insult and spittle, as he was sure that God was his vindicator and his help. If we also profess that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, we are invited to share in his ministry. The way we share in his ministry is to live like him, behave like him, think like him, and talk like him. The mandate that Jesus gave to his disciples and he gives to us now is that if we want to be his disciples, we have to take up our daily cross and follow him. Some people look at the cross as the sign of punishment and hardship. It may be true, and therefore the saying, "Let him or her take his own cross," is already a universal phrase of suffering, even in the secular world. But for us, the believers, the cross of Christ is a sign of victory and redemption, and we profess it openly in the midst of the others. The cross is therefore the unique sacrifice of Christ, the one mediator between God and men. Christ willingly went to the cross and suffered for us, leaving us an example so that we should follow his steps. When Christ invites us to take up our daily cross and follow him, he desires all of us to associate in his redeeming sacrifice. Saint Rose of Lima once said, "Apart from the cross, there is no ladder by which we may get to heaven." As we know that carrying the yoke or the cross is the task of two individuals. When Jesus invites all of us to shoulder his yoke, as we find in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 11 verse 29, he means to tell us that he and I will carry that yoke of his together. He does not want us to carry the cross and yoke all alone by ourselves. He is there always with us when we carry a cross of suffering in our day-to-day life. Some of us experience the cross either in sickness or in the broken families. Still others experience the cross in poverty. Others in the misunderstanding and being rejected by the neighbors and society. In all these pains and sufferings, in all these difficult crosses, Jesus is in all of us. The poor, the hungry, the thirsty, the homeless, the orphans, the prisoners, the lonely, and so on and so forth. The fidelity of the baptized is the primordial condition of proclamation of the gospel and for the church's mission in this world. Paul mentioned very clearly in his letter to the Ephesians that the witness of a Christian life and good works done in a supernatural spirit have great power to draw all men to the faith and to God. Thus, St. James in today's second reading stresses again and again that if we want to proclaim that we are the followers of Christ, we should not only profess our faith, we should also show by our good deeds. Sometimes our deeds we do as the followers of Christ can be so taxing and life-risking. We know that since the beginning of the Christianity up to the present era, many of the witnesses of Christ have manifested the faith by their actions, and they are willing even to the point of losing their own life, as Jesus concluded in today's Gospel. For anyone who wants to save his life will lose it, but anyone who loses his life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. Let us therefore pray as Christians that we will continue to carry this cross together with Jesus, even in the darkest nights of our life, so that we will be able to share in his eternal glory. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.